12 years into my own software career, I was on my third so-called consulting project when I cracked open my laptop to track my time for the day. Suddenly I stopped and thought, wait a minute, I'm still tracking hours, rushing to hit deadlines, and nobody consults with me on anything. In fact, I'm still having to prove that people should even listen to me. That moment planted a seed, but it took me 6 more years to see the truth. Software development would always be a grind unless I started working in a whole new way. That was 15 years ago. Since then, I've consulted for over 20 companies and I've coached over 140 developers to help them survive the tech industry. So in this episode, I'll show you exactly how true consulting is something few developers understand. It's actually the antidote to everything that makes tech feel like a grind. The easiest way to understand this is by using an acronym. And what better one to use than grind itself? The first letter, G, stands for Generalist. I remember about 15 years ago, I was refreshing my resume to get it up to date. As I was reviewing my experience, something jumped out at me. I had a list of technical skills a mile long, but most of them weren't valuable anymore. And even if I had a chance to use them again, I would be incredibly rusty. When I was honest with myself, the only thing that mattered was what I just did on my last project. After working in tech for 30 years, I can tell you one thing for sure. Most companies do not value people with a variety of experience. They only care if you can help them with their current problem. So why are so many developers generalists then? Well, the entire tech industry is driven by buzz. Whenever a new technology comes out, the companies that created it, they need an excuse for people to use it. And most developers will just jump at the opportunity to learn new technology on any project. As employees, we get sick of taking orders and we want a distraction to cope with it. But that's exactly how corporate culture keeps you trapped. Since you're constantly learning new tools, you never get paid like a master. I know it feels like being able to do anything gives you job security. But the truth is, this is exactly why companies will never pay you what you're actually worth, only what your role is worth. And it only gets even worse as your career goes on. All the things you learned in the past become useless. And so you get stuck on this hamster wheel, constantly running to keep up with what's changing. But when you become a premium consultant, you focus on solving one major business problem. You either help companies grow, be more efficient, improve user satisfaction, or you help them deal with risk and regulations. The technology you use is up to you. You're offering the company a business solution on your terms. The major difference is you only use new technology to solve the business problem you specialize in, not whenever your employer decides they need you to switch gears. The second letter, R, stands for Reliant. I've coached developers who went through 2 layoffs within a single year, and most developers I've coached have had more than 1 layoff over their career. With that kind of instability, it's only logical to start asking yourself some tough questions. How much money do I lose each time I get laid off? How much risk am I taking on every time I get hired as an employee? And eventually, this question, is it even possible to have stability in the tech industry? Well, the good news is it's actually easier than ever to have stability today. But to have that stability, you got to take a cold, hard look at the truth. As a premium consultant, you're not just a technician, you're a business. And if you're anything like me, people have been telling you for years, developers just aren't good at business. It's a load of crap. Sure, there are new things to learn. You've got to create a compelling offer. You got to market and sell it to people. And you've got to incorporate, invoice clients, and do taxes at the end of the year. But here's the thing. Developers learn faster than most people. And with AI, we've all got the power of marketing, sales, and business advice at our fingertips. This is stuff that would have cost tens of thousands of dollars and years of work to even begin to use just 5 years ago. So if you want to have stability in your career again, there really are no excuses. It's not a matter of your skill. It's a matter of making a decision. Are you willing to stop outsourcing your future to a system that doesn't care if you thrive or not? The change you want can start today, but only if you're willing to take ownership for your success. The third letter, I, stands for invisible. I remember one day I showed up at a strategy meeting for a company I worked for. It was in a dark conference room, and I knew about half the people who were there. A manager I knew got up in front of the group and began sharing some big results he got. There was only one problem. He didn't do any of it. It was all my work. With my stomach in knots, I started thinking about how to confront him. But as the meeting went on, I was shocked to learn something as he spoke. I was the one who did the work, but he was the one who connected it to business results. And that's why he got the credit. Like many other times in my career, I had done great work, but I didn't communicate its value. When you become a premium consultant, your offer is business value. The technology used to do it is the details. If you don't make a company more money, more efficient, help them satisfy their customers, or reduce their risk, you will always get treated like a cog in a giant machine. But if you're willing to put the company's problems first, that's the moment you go from being invisible to being invaluable. The fourth letter, N, stands for normalized. I used to go out to lunch almost every day when I had a high-paying job in the city. At the table with other developers, we would all complain about the same things. The manager doesn't listen. So-and-so got promoted and didn't deserve it. Yada, yada. As humans, we're not fulfilled unless we're part of a tribe. But it took me years to learn the tribe I was a part of was keeping me trapped. My coworkers had accepted their fate as victims. It felt good to know people who shared my pain, but the problem with being a victim is you accept helplessness as normal. When you become a premium consultant, you need an entirely new tribe. People who are challenging the status quo by refusing to complain about it. Look, it doesn't help you succeed by focusing on things that suck, that you can't change. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. Most developers are not going to understand what you're doing if you become a premium consultant. Their identity is still wrapped up in being an employee, a generalist, and a complainer about the industry. So if you decide to step out of your comfort zone, just be prepared. By being different, you will have people that will think you're crazy. The question you've got to ask yourself is this: would you rather be accepted by a group of people who've given up, or respected for choosing something better? The fifth and final letter, D, stands for differential. When I coach other developers, one of the things they complain about is this: why do I have other people telling me what to do when they don't even know how the technology works? Well, the truth is, as an employee, that's just the nature of the relationship. You're not being paid to get better at making decisions. You're getting paid to get better at being obedient. And the better you get at following orders, the harder it gets to lead. But when you become a premium consultant, you never ask clients for permission. You offer a solution, and they either do it your way or you find a different client. If you approach consulting like an employee, you will fail. You can't just let clients throw any problem at you and just do it. You have to shift from taking orders to leading your client. If you can do this, you'll get public testimonials and clients will seek you out. This is how you shift from being a task doer to someone who creates real value. Now you know why employment in tech isn't a stable long-term strategy, and how becoming a premium consultant overcomes every major limitation. But knowing what you're up against isn't enough to transition into self-employment, because it's not enough to know. You got to build something real. You still got to craft a compelling offer, find clients, close the deal, and get paid. So to learn how to do that, watch this video about my 10-step system for becoming a respected premium consultant.